So today, March 5th, 2026. Yesterday we were discussing about the 5 qualities of rooster, and those qualities, if the meditators they possess, then they will achieve the highest Dhamma. So in these factors, the 5th one we were talking about Yoniso Manasikāra, wise attention or wise consideration. Yoniso Manasikāra, an appropriate attention. That means taking anicca as anicca, dukkha as dukkha, and anatta as anatta. Seeing the things as they are. That is wise attention, Yoniso Manasikāra. If we take anicca, impermanent, as nicca, permanent, then that is unwise attention. If we take dukkha as a sukha, anatta as a atta, then it is inappropriate attention. So seeing anicca as anicca, dukkha as dukkha, and anatta as anatta is a wise attention. And we meditators always need to have that type of wise attention towards the 4 foundations of mindfulness, for Satipatthāna. We should not abandon that wise attention on these 4 Satipatthāna, the 4 objects of our practice, Satipatthāna practice. These 4 are the fields of fields where the meditators should dwell all the time, so that kilesa enemies will not be able to attack them. Therefore, this wise attention on the 4 foundations of mindfulness is very important. The Buddha said that as a sailor, being vigilant, sails his ship day and night. So too, the meditators, having this wise attention, Yoniso Manasikāra, and being vigilant, should engage themselves in the having wise attention and being vigilant. They should engage themselves on the 4 fields of meditation. So they should take delight on that. They should be happy being vigilant, having this Yoniso Manasikāra. They should delight in heedfulness. They should guard their mind so that they will be able to liberate themselves from the sufferings. That's what the Buddha said. So here, the four foundations of mindfulness, the four objects of our practice, they are Kaya, Vedana, Chitta, and Dhamma. So when we do meditation, what we are doing is we are trying to be mindful of every arising objects. So when we say every arising objects, they are either the primary object, rising and falling movement in the abdomen, or any other secondary objects like seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, and so on. So we pay attention. We try to dwell on those objects because those objects are occurring within us all the time. All the time. They are occurring one after another. And Mahasi Sayadaw, Venerable Mahasi Sayadaw instructed us to observe them in everyday language. When there is rising movement, okay, note it as rising. When there is falling movement, note it as falling. When we see something, just note it as seeing. When hear something, note it as hearing. So when we keep on noting like rising, falling, sitting, touching, or seeing, hearing, and so on, what we supposed to experience? Just focusing on those movements, the rising and falling movement, just focusing in the seeing or hearing and so on? Or do we experience, are we experiencing something else? We are doing this meditation to see the ultimate truth. The ultimate truth, simply that is mind and matter, the ultimate truth. But it is not easy to see those mind and matter because most of the time we are engaged with the concepts I, we, man, woman, and so on. But the Buddha said there is no man or woman or I or we. There is only mind and matter. But without the practice, we cannot see this mind and matter. So if we keep our mind inside us, in the body, for example, while doing sitting meditation, if we keep our mind in the whole body, what we feel. At the beginning, we may say that, oh, this is my body, this is my head, this is my hand, this is my legs. But when we really pay attention in the body, wherever we focus, wherever we send our mind, we feel sometimes some movements, sometimes some tension, stiffness, sometimes heat, sometimes cold, and sometimes hardness, and sometimes softness. So we only feel those types of things. We said, oh, this is my hand. When we touch our hand, what we feel? Sometimes heat, sometimes cold, sometimes hard, sometimes something moving there, sometimes something flowing there. We only feel that. The touching sensations. The touching sensations in our body, we can feel, we can experience these touching sensations in the whole body. Everywhere we can experience these touching sensations, heat or cold, hardness or softness, something flowing, stiffness, tension, tightness, pushing or pulling, and so on. And those are the very true natures. And we are doing this meditation to see, to experience these sensations. They are kaya or rupa. So in 4 Satipatthāna, the first one, Kayanupassana Satipatthāna, contemplating the body as a body. So here, body, what is that body? So body is not this form or this hand or leg. The body means the ultimate truth matter, rupa. The physicality that we have all the time, we can experience through our practice. So that body we should see clearly. And that body or matter, different kinds of matter, according to Abhidhamma, there are 28 kinds. Among them, the 4 great elements are very easy to notice, very easy to recognize. The first one, Pathavi Dhatu, earth element. Earth element has a nature of hardness or softness or smoothness. Earth element, it supports the other matters. It is the foundation for other matters, other rupas. And the Apo Dhatu, water element, Water element, something flowing. Water element is apparent in the sweat, yeah, tears, saliva, mucus. So something flowing and also cohesion. Water element combines the particles. It makes a lump. And tejo dhatu, fire element, heat, cold, and warm and lightness. The lightness is also tejo dhatu. Sometimes we feel our body is very, very light. That light feeling is also the nature of tejo dhatu. Tejo dhatu has also the nature of drying up the wetness in the body. Damp feeling, wet feeling, that is the nature of apo dhatu. And tejo dhatu has a nature of drying those dampness, wetness. And the vayo dhatu, air element. Air element is like tightness, tension, stiffness, and movements. Sometimes we feel moving from one place to another place, something moving from one place to another place, and pulling and pushing, and also pressure. Those are the nature of vayo dhatu. So we are sitting. So when we focus on this sitting posture, what we come to know, what will we experience? Sometimes we experience this body is very stiff, very tight, very upright. So mostly the vayo dhatu is apparent when noting, when observing that sitting. Sometimes we feel while sitting, the whole body is very, very heavy. Sometimes very, very hard, like a rock. So these are the elements. Sometimes we feel burning sensation, so hot, but sometimes very cold. Though outside weather is very hot, but inside the body sometimes we feel very, very cold. Means we are knowing the fire element. So these types of touching sensation, if we look in the body, we can find everywhere in the body. And sometimes while sitting, we stretch our body. What is that stretching? That stretching is also the nature of vayo, air element. Air element is apparent at that time. Sometimes we bend. Yeah. So wherever we look in the body, we feel some sensations. Sometimes air element is predominant, sometimes earth element is predominant, sometimes fire element is predominant, and sometimes the water element with other three elements, either with earth element or fire element or air element. It is predominant because water element, we cannot touch the water. Whenever we touch water, sometimes we feel cold or warm or hot, or sometimes some movements, or sometimes a heavy feeling or light feeling when we touch water. We cannot touch water element separately. So we are doing this meditation. We are instructed to note, for example, rising and falling. And every time we are saying, okay, rising, falling, focusing on the abdomen. At the beginning, when our mindfulness is not strong, our focusing is not accurate, and also effort is not enough. The noting mind does not reach the abdomen. The noting mind does not stick on the abdomen. Then we just feel the movements. Okay, there is movement. Inward movement, outward movement, again inward movement, outward movement. We only see that movement. So if we only see that inward and outward movement, but we didn't see any other specific natures, any other specific sensations in that rising and falling movement, then it means we need to put more effort. We need to focus more on that object. We need to focus more. We need to send our mind, we need to push our noting mind to that object of rising and falling movement. So if we keep on observing, if we keep on trying that way, we later on, when the mind becomes more calm, more still, then we come to see the specific natures of rising and falling movement. Not just a movement, but the specific sensations. Air element is more apparent in rising and falling movement. Therefore, sometimes we feel tension, stiff, tight, and sometimes we feel pushing, and sometimes pulling sensations, sometimes expansion. When noting falling, sometimes we feel contraction, sometimes relaxation, release of that tension and stiffness. That means we are experiencing the very true natures, the ultimate truth, the nature of air element. That is why we are observing that rising and falling movement on the abdomen, to see that, to experience that very true nature. Yesterday, when we talk about the qualities of a rooster, the third quality that whenever we take the food, we have to be mindful of eating. We have to observe that. So what we come to know at that time when eating food, when we pay attention in eating food, the whole process when taking the food, bringing to the mouth, putting inside, chewing, at that time, the three elements, the four elements are apparent. Sometimes movement, sometimes hardness or cold, hardness or softness, sometimes heat, the hotness or coolness. And sometimes we come to know the taste of the food. So the taste, that is also a one kind of matter. And we come to know that taste because there is tongue sensitivity, tongue, the taste and the tongue. The tongue sensitivity is also a matter. It is also the very true nature, ultimate truth. So when we are very mindful in eating food, sometimes we come to know about that tongue sensitivity. Sometimes we come to know about the taste, and sometimes we come to know about the tasting consciousness. So we come to know about that mind and matter. Here, the taste and the tongue sensitivity, they both are the matter. So therefore, we have to chew the food very mindfully so that we can understand the ultimate truth. And in order to know that, we note it continuously. Just one noting or two noting is not enough. We have to note it again and again, repeatedly. Therefore, in Satipatthāna, when the Buddha mentioned about the Satipatthāna, he used the word anupassana, like in Kaya anupassana. Anupassana. Anupassana means the repeated observation, noting repeatedly, again and again. Not just one noting or two noting, again and again. So when chewing the food, we keep on noting again and again, continuously chewing, chewing, chewing. Then only we come to know the very true nature occurring at that moment. Though we are saying the word chewing, chewing, this word chewing, chewing is not the ultimate truth actually. It is just a concept. It is not ultimate truth. But when we keep on noting like that, we come to realize the ultimate truth. Therefore, we are doing this Satipatthāna meditation in order to see these ultimate truths occurring in our body and mind, moment by moment. And regarding these touching sensations, not only in noting rising and falling, in sitting, and also sometimes touching. Yeah, the touching sensations, just now we said we can find this touching sensation in the entire body, except the nails, the hair, and sometimes the heart muscles, the dead muscles. Apart from that, anywhere when we send our mind, we can have that touching sensations. And we don't need to touch by our hand. Actually, whenever we send our mind somewhere in the body, from head to toe or from toe to head, we can feel that touching sensations everywhere. We don't need to touch, even without touching the mind. Wherever we send mind, then we can feel that touching sensations. And therefore, when we do sitting meditation, when some yogis have difficulties in noting rising and falling movements, sometimes they can focus on sitting and touching. Sitting and touching. So in touching sensations, that is the three kinds of elements: earth element, fire element, and the air element. We come to know that when we send our mind, either earth element, or fire element or air element. Therefore, sometimes when we do meditation, especially for the beginners, they may be very curious. We are doing rising, falling, we are doing sitting, touching, also we are walking, what we are supposed to experience. What we are supposed to experience. They might be very curious. They may have many questions. What is next? So, what is next? At the beginning, our mindfulness is not strong enough yet. The concentration is not developed yet. Then at the beginning, we just see the concepts, sometimes the concepts and also some ultimate truths. For example, sometimes while observing rising and falling in the abdomen, we come to see how it rises and how it falls, sometimes inward and backward movements, sometimes sideways, sometimes long rising, long falling, sometimes very short rising, very short falling. At the meantime, sometimes we also experience tension, stiffness, relaxation, expansion, and so on. So we come to experience both the concept and also the ultimate truth. And to experience this truth, we just need to continuously noting and observing that movement. Having questions in the mind will not help. Yeah, having questions in the mind will not help. We just need to keep on observing with a great patience. In meditation, when we do meditation, we should have a patience. If the mind always in hurry, then we cannot see the things clearly. So we should have a determination that I will stay in the present. I will stay in the present and just observe whatever happening at that very present moment. We should have that kind of determination and try to keep our attention on the presently arising objects. Then only we will develop mindfulness and concentration and come to see the very true natures. That is very important fact. Therefore, Venerable Mahasi Sayadaw instructed in brief, note every time Rupa and Nama arise. Note every time Rupa and Nama arise. Means whenever mind and matter appear, then note it immediately, every time. But when noting, we note the most obvious one. We focus on the most obvious object. So note every time Rupa and Nama arise. And this will lead you to gaining knowledge about their causes and effects. So when we keep on observing every mind and matter, whenever they become predominant, that will lead us to gain knowledge. First, we see the very true natures, the individual natures of the Rupa and Nama. Just now we mentioned the air element, Vayotatu, has its individual nature of tension, stiffness, tightness, pulling and pushing. This type of natures are the individual natures of Vayotatu. Earth element does not have this nature. Water element does not have this nature. Earth element has its individual nature of hardness or softness or roughness or smoothness. That is the individual nature of earth element. And other rupas, other matters, they do not have this nature. So when we note every time the object appears, then we gain the knowledge. First, we see the natures, every individual natures of mind and matter, and then we come to know about their causes and effects. So, and then in the end, you will recognize the three marks of anicca, dukkha, and anatta. After seeing the cause and effect nature of this mind and matter, then we come to see the three characteristics of anicca, dukkha, and anatta. Every mind and matter has this nature, these characteristics, that is the common characteristics. And he who practices in this manner can enter Nibbana. That is the brief instruction given by Venerable Mahasi Sayadaw. Not every time Rupa and Nama arise, this will lead you to gaining knowledge about their causes and effects, and in the end you will recognize the three marks of anicca, dukkha, and anatta, and a person who practices in this manner can enter Nibbana. When come to see the three characteristics, and if this person continues his practice, surely he will realize Nibbana through path and fruition knowledge. So therefore, when we do this type of Satipatthāna practice, we should have some patience, and we just need to follow the instructions, just need to keep on noting the objects, whatever the object is there. We just need to keep on noting, just keep on noting. Without noting, if just wondering what am I going to experience, what is next, what should I do, or this one I already experienced. So if we are having that type of thoughts in our mind, then we lose our mindfulness. We lose our mindfulness. So if that type of thoughts appear in the mind, then we have to note that thoughts immediately. As soon as we notice, then we have to note it immediately. Otherwise, that thought takes a long time, and then we lose our mindfulness for a long period of time. Then next time when we start, then we have to start from very beginning. So I would like to encourage all of you, just try to follow the instructions. Yeah, try to catch the every object, whatever that object, it doesn't matter. As long as it is obvious, just try to catch that obvious object, keep on observing it with full focus and with energy, so that you come to know the very ultimate truth, the very true nature of mind and matter. And that's all for today.